Hi everyone, this is John. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 578. My opponent played d4, and I went for the Slav defense, d5, c4, c6. So my opponent plays a somewhat rare response, e3. Normally, the way I play it is with knight f3 and then e3, and that's a typical way to proceed. And we get the same position, so after e3 I just respond with knight f6, normal developing move, and he goes knight f3. So this is all okay. It's interesting, at this point, I've been in this position a lot. I almost always play e6, but I think next time I will try this bishop f5 move. You can see it's one of the ideas of the Slav defense, the early development of that bishop outside the pawn chain before you play e6. It might be an interesting way to play, just for variety. I think I'll try that next time. But I play my usual move, e6 here, and so we've got a semi-Slav. Now he goes queen c2. That's a bit of a rare move. Even now, queen c2 is an idea, but usually it's played after knight c3. Knight c3 first, then queen c2. And when you play like that, that's an anti-Moran system. The Moran variation happens after knight c3, bishop d3, and then black will take here and play b5, kicking the bishop, and just gain a few tempos against the pieces here and expand on the queen side, and try for a later c5 break to open up. An interesting way to play, and good play for both sides. So kind of fun. I've had it from both sides. Anyway, queen c2 is part of an anti-Moran system with knight c3, where the bishop development is delayed, so black doesn't feel inclined to take that pawn. So I just keep developing, and white settles the issue by grabbing the pawn right here. So I take back. I wanted to get a slightly unbalanced pawn structure. If you take back with this pawn, it's actually fine for black. It's probably a very even position, but kind of a dull position too, with that perfectly symmetrical pawn structure. So I prefer playing this way. We get some normal developing moves. Bishop d6, castles, and I go with, he goes with knight bd2. I go with h6. h6 is a bit of a slow move here, not really necessary. I was still worried about this idea of sacrificing on h7 after I recently did a video about the h7 sacrifice, the Greek gift sacrifice. So I was being a little too cautious there. I looked at this with a chess engine, and it recommends pushing ahead with c5 right in this position. And you do need to get some space for this bishop, so it makes a lot of sense. c5 is a move you play. And of course, white can give you an isolated queen's pawn at that point, but it looks like you have good play for your pieces in exchange for taking on the isolated queen's pawn. So I think that's the way to play here. Yeah, so h6 a bit slow. He goes a3, and I go rook e8. He's preparing a queenside pawn storm kind of thing going. It's called the minority attack, where he tries to create weaknesses in the pawn structure on the queen side. But he starts with the rook e1 here. And now I play this knight f8 move. Probably not the best move here, although it doesn't lose. But anyway, I was still just having trouble figuring out how to develop this bishop. Once again, c5 is probably an idea here. Although his queen's on it right now, so maybe... I have to play c5 before I move the knight away, because otherwise I don't have enough force to support it. Okay, I played knight f8, so now c5 is out of the picture. He plays b4, and that's he's completely clamped down on the queen side. And black, I think, is doing pretty well along here. Comes in with bishop to... it's my turn. I play bishop to g4. Actually, it's still okay here. My mistakes start to come in the next few moves. So he kicks my bishop with h3, and here's my first mistake. I didn't realize that the square g6 is adequately defended because of this knight on f8. I just leave it there, and he kicks the knight, and I route around this way. It gives me some nice counter to his queen and bishop battery there, so that would have been the way to play it. And I wasn't seeing that, and I just took off his knight, and this gives white a little bit of edge. Let's see, I play rook c8. I'm rearranging my pieces to try and open up some lines here for the heavy pieces. He goes with bishop e2, and I drop my bishop back to b8. And now he plunges in with e5. So instead of that rearrangement of pieces, after the exchange here, it's my turn. This is a point where I could have played knight to e4, and that would have been a good move in this case. For some reason, I didn't think it was possible, but of course, it's defended by the rook, so knight e4 is a good move right in this particular case. Okay, so I went with this rook c8, bishop b8 idea, and he plunges in with knight e5. And after a couple of more moves, he gets a significantly better position. Right here was my last chance. I could even play knight e4 right here, which is not at all obvious. So if you want to, if you want to see why that's a playable move, you can think of this as a little bit of a tactical quiz. Okay, pause the video if you want some time to think about it. I'm going to give that answer away. If I come in here and he takes, I take back with the pawn. Notice that my rook is on the e-file, so if the queen grabs the pawn, I can play f6 and win that pinned knight. Now he gets counterplay, so it's not completely one-sided, but basically I'm winning a piece for a couple of pawns, so that would be good. Anyway, I went with knight takes e5, and after f takes, which is the right way to do it, opening up the f-file, white's already better. Yeah, white's probably got a winning advantage here, and plays some good moves here. Bishop f5, pinning my knight. I go here. And now he gives up his advantage with the next move. He just trades us off. That's probably best for white to continue building up pressure on the f-file. But this trade doesn't help anyone but me. Helps me untangle my pieces. And after queen d2, I could equalize here with the f6 move. I didn't quite appreciate it at this point, but my rook is covering the e6 square, so we can't push the pawn forward, and my queen is covering the f6 square, so if he takes, I can take back with the queen and have a decent kingside pawn structure, and I would have this weakness to play against on e3. So this would be good for black. But I played instead rook to e7. I was thinking about playing that f6 move, but well, I just wasn't calculating well this game. What can I say? I was worried somehow about e6 when clearly I could have just taken the pawn on e6. Anyway, he went rook f1, and I played f6 here. And now here's another tactical quiz for you. I played f6, thinking that he would take, and then that would open up this file for me to take on e3. And that's there's a flaw in that plan. So your tactical quiz is what's the what's the problem with that plan? See if you can figure it out. Okay, I played f6, he took, and I took, just blindly going through with my plan. And now he can just play f7 there. It's a fork, and I'm just losing a rook. So that would have been winning for white. Instead, he took. Now white, this whole game was playing at a blinding rate of speed, which is probably explains the number of blunders on both sides, because when my opponent plays real fast, that sometimes causes me to play too fast as well, and so that's what was going on there. I think in any case there was horrible blunders on both sides, and that was one of them. Another one is, this is kind of an interesting point. I grabbed the pawn right away, which is kind of a reflex, and I didn't have to do that, and the chess engine is suggesting a move like queen d6, just setting up this battery and going for the kingside attack, leaving the king behind the pawn as a shelter. Often a good idea. So play might continue like this, queen d6. Now he can come in here with this check. That's one thing I was worried about. But the resource I have here is I can take the pawn with my king, and then after this trade, white can throw in this check, black can throw in this check, and then grab the rook. And now the material is still even here, but well, his king has been driven out into the open. There's threats with the rook on both of these files, on the f file and the e file, and his pieces, particularly this bishop, is out of play. So this is a winning attack for black. That would have been best play for black, and that would, for black. So that would have been my way to win the game. Notice that I can't take the rook, because after this, checks, and then he grabs the rook. My rook is hanging at the end of that sequence, so I can't. So I have to play that carefully after this rook to f8 check. I have to take the pawn and not the rook. But anyway, that would have been winning for me. Instead, I took the pawn, and now we're back in the range of, well, black's a little bit better here still because he has this problem. White has a problem with this dark squared bishop. So we continue coming forward. He brings his queen to f5, and I play rook to f8. He could trade out at this point. I think this would still leave me a little better, but probably lead to an even game. But, you know, queen takes rook, queen takes queen, and rook takes queen, king takes rook would just be only slightly better for black, and that would be fine. He went with more checks, trying to find the winning idea here, king h7. He traded rooks. And then he played rook to f1. So rook to f1 is a mistake. Another tactics quiz for you. What does black reply? What is black's best reply after rook f1? Okay, yeah, be sure to look at what all the pieces are doing. After rook f1, you have this bishop h2 check idea. Pretty common. The queen is guarding the escape of the king, so the king is in check, and its best move is really just to take the bishop, but that distracts it away from the rook, so that wins the exchange. You have to be careful in calculating that black doesn't have any drawing ideas, but well, I looked at it with the chess engine, and it appears that black can escape. I guess the king comes forward. Well, after a check, it would come forward this way, and then the queen would come in and block the further checks, so it can get back in time to block the checks. Anyway, so that would be winning. I went queen e7, avoiding that line, and now he just, once again, like I said, white was playing blindingly fast the whole game. He just went in with queen g6 check, probably thinking it was defended by the rook, but it's on the wrong file. So I took it, and he resigned. Interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and leave any comments you have in the section below. I will see you again soon. Bye.